Hi, Environmental Science. I decided to go ahead and screencast-o-matic part of this lecture for this fourth unit, so you guys have time in class to work on other things. So we're continuing, we're starting at slide 26 of the same presentation, and we'll go just for a little bit in this recording. All right, so talking about taxonomy and some biodiversity. So evolution has produced a tremendous amount of biodiversity on Earth, and you need to know what the definition of biodiversity is. So it's defined as the number of different species within an ecosystem or area, and it's really important. Unfortunately, we're losing many species before we've even actually discovered them. The number of species currently on Earth is actually unknown, which is kind of amazing. We've identified only about 1.5 million. Some numbers say 1.3, so it's between 1.3 and 1.5 million species identified. And estimates state that about 8.7 million different species exist on Earth currently. That's a huge number, right? So you guys, in your lifetime, will probably see more species discovered. Maybe one of you will even go on to discover some yourself. Okay? So the majority of known species are insects, and then fungi and bacteria. So here's kind of a visual of kind of the numbers of the species, right? So insects, we've got fungi and bacteria, and then we get to the higher orders, right? That's some things that we're more familiar with up here at the very tip of top of the pyramid. But really, out of all species, the greatest amount is here, and probably even bacteria. We don't even know as much about, right? So there's a naming system. It's called the taxonomic naming system, and there's a certain order. Science is all about organization. So you go from the largest kind of domain, and then you go down all the way to the species level. So the highest division or species is the domain, and then it goes to kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So that would be like we're Homo sapiens, right? And so there's some mnemonics, because if you do continue in college and to study science, you'll have to learn this and actually learn the different orders and classes and phylums, etc., for different species, depending on what you're studying. So one way to remember this is there's a lot of mnemonics. Sometimes they just leave the domain out. So for kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species, you could say King Philip came over from Great Spain. So there's some others, so you can make up your own mnemonic. Mnemonics are great to remember things. Determined, kind people can often follow ghostly screams. That's a good one for Halloween time, but there's lots more, and you could make up your own as well. So if you continue on, but just know that the largest is domain, and then it goes down and gets more and more kind of finite as you kind of zero in on the species level. Okay? So in humans, for example, our domain is eukarya, so that means that we have cells that have nuclei and organelles. Our kingdom is Animalia. We're a multicellular organism. We're heterotrophic, unable to produce our own food. Our phylum is Chordata. That means we have a spinal cord or a nerve cord along our back. Our class is Mammal. I already said that. Our order is Primates. And we're forward-facing eyes and large brains and vertical posture. And actually, our class is Mammalia. I did not say that. So we're warm-blooded, give birth to live young, and we have hair. Right? Some of us are more hairy than others. And then our family is Hominida, and we have a capacity for language, culture, and empathy. And then we would go even further down to genus and species, right? So those are used to determine the species scientific name, those last two. So Homo sapiens, for example. Okay. And we usually underline it or italicize it. Okay, So the scientific naming system is really important, as many species have, many common names. Like the cougar, for example, is called so many things, right? Mountain lion. Some of these are other fun ones I hadn't heard before. The fire cat, mountain screamer, etc., right? So actually, little known fact, the cougar holds a world record for the number of common names. We have 40 in English alone. And you can even think about like Sasquatch or Bigfoot, right? Not even a really proved species, but they have a lot of names as well. So if someone ever does discover Bigfoot, then they will get their own scientific name. That way we will be able to tell that we're really talking about Sasquatch rather than the abominable snowman or whatever. Okay. Two animals with many classification levels in common are considered very closely related, and so this is why we're talking about this in an evolution section. So wolves and dogs share the same domain: kingdom, phylum, class, order, and family. And then you can tell they kind of diverged after that. So they're both Canis, right? Canis lupus lupus, and Canis familiaris, the dog, and the wolf. So you can tell that they're related just from their scientific names. Okay, and that's where I'm going to stop for this video. The next video will cover population growth. There's just a whole lot jammed in this unit, so I'm breaking it up into chunks. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful.